Pilates, and then we'll kind of regroup and do our meditation. So right now I have it designed in case Taylor shows up. If she doesn't show up, you guys are in for a treat. I'll have some other things for us. All right, so we are going to start here. Actually, since if Taylor shows up, we're going to start and come back to seated. But for now, let's actually all start on our backs. That is going to be a little more efficient for us as we get started here. So if you would lay on your back, and we are going to start with just some Pilates breath. So Pilates breath is different than yoga breath in that we breathe in through the nose, we breathe out through the mouth. And so since you've just landed on your mat, you've taken this time for yourself, let's take just a little bit of a break here to tune into the breath. So we breathe in through the nose, we breathe out through the mouth. And this is a 3D breath. So you're breathing all the way down and around. And Taylor, you're going to start seated. Now, for your next couple of breaths, if you want to place your hands around your rib cage in a way that you can feel the breath moving all the way around. So now we've started this breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's also pay attention to the breath moving down and around. So we'll add a little bit of pelvic tilting here. For those of you on your back, you'll imprint your lower back to the mat, and then you'll release your lower back off the mat. So we're going to move right into Pilates. We will have about 10 minutes of time or more for meditation at the end of class. So here, again, you're imprinting your lower back to the mat. If you're in a seated position, we'll just do a little pelvic tilt. Think of letting that lower back connect with an imaginary wall behind you, and then release. So again, that lower back connects. So we're moving with the breath. On your inhale, the lower back comes off the mat. On your exhale, the lower back connects with the mat. So do a few more moving at your pace. No rush. All right, now together we are going to be flat on our backs with the soles of the feet to the mat, and you'll have your block, place it between your legs, so between your thighs actually, so that it's not on the knee joint. You're not feeling any pressure there. Your arms are alongside you, palms are facing down, your feet are close into your bottom. We'll do that pelvic tilt again where we're connecting lower back to the mat, and then begin to peel one vertebra up off the mat, bridge up to your shoulders. Once you're at the top of that bridge, squeeze onto the block a little extra and lower down one vertebra at a time, slow and controlled. That control is really important in terms of what Pilates is all about. So controlling the movement. Now we press the lower back to the mat again, and then you're lifting one vertebra up off the mat at a time, bridging up to the shoulders. Once you bridge up, give that block an extra squeeze, and then begin to lower down. All right, friends, you are on your own, moving up, moving down. Add that extra squeeze at the top of your bridge pose. You could bring the forearms to the mat, let the fingertips point up to the ceiling. That adds a little bit of extra for the core. You could also raise your arms so that they're up over the shoulders if you'd like. Again, that requires a little bit more. Two options there. Good, do a couple more here. You can join us for a bridge if you feel comfortable with that. Yep. All right, the next time you find yourself up in that bridge pose, pause right there. We're going to squeeze and release onto that block. Squeeze extra, release. Squeeze and release. Squeeze, release. 4 more. Here's 3, 2, and last one. Squeeze and hold. Push the hips up a teeny bit higher. Hold 8, 7, 6. Keep hugging onto that block. Last 3, 2, and last 1. We slowly bridge back down. Again, 1 vertebra at a time. Slow, controlled movement. All right, now you can find any movement here. Release your block. Any movement that feels good to kind of reset. Maybe knees into chest, maybe a long extension. All right, we're going to set our mama to be up first. So you guys hang out there. Taylor, you're going to be right here with forearms to the mat, and maybe your shins to the parallel to the floor, otherwise soles of the feet, and you'll do your toe taps here. All right, the rest of us, we're going to bring the block up over the shoulders, squeeze onto that block. Let the lower back connect in with your mat. Now notice how your knees came in a little closer toward you. Let your knees travel back so that they once again are in line with your hips. Now you'll alternate toe taps right and left. Again, this is about control. Before it was called Pilates, it was actually called Contrology. Control is the key. All right, so let me show you or give you options to up the ante here. You could drop both feet at the same time to the mat, but the lower back stays connected. You could also, or lift head and shoulders up off the mat. So again, it does not matter how many you're doing here. What does matter is that control. So try to think here about hinging from the hip. The knees stay that same, or that angle behind the legs stays the same. Do a couple more at your pace. Once you have wrapped up those two, gently return to whatever position feels good to reset. So Pilates is, of course, about strengthening through the front side of the body and the back side of the body in terms of core, abdominals, and back. It is also about strengthening through the hip stabilizers. So that's where the bridge comes in. We are going to back to a bridge pose, and we can all do this together. So arms are alongside you, palms down. We are going to hip hinge up into a bridge. So we go up into that bridge pose. We let the hips come down to a hover. We press the hips up. We let the hips come down to a hover. We do 4 more like this. Hips to a hover. Last 3. And down. 2. And down. And last 1. Hips travel down. Now we will let the hips come back up. We'll hold. We're sending our right leg into the air. And from here, this right leg is going to travel to left thigh height, and then we let it go back up. So it's not a big movement here. Good. Keep going with that right leg traveling down, traveling up. Great job. Good. We're going to do a few more of these. I'm going to have you just do a hip hinge up and down without the leg in the air. Yep. Good. Beautiful job. You all do a couple more. Up, down, and up. And then the next time your leg is in the air, pause right there. Now the hips, again, are going to move. So we drop the hips to a hover. We press the hips up. That leg is still in the air. Drop to a hover and up. We have 6 more. We press. Here's 5. Press up. 4. Press. 3. Press up. Last 2. And up, and last 1, press up, set the sole of the right foot back to the mat, and bring all of your weight to your right foot. Send your left leg up. We have the same thing here. Taylor, you're going to get sick of those hip hinge bridges. Feel free to take a break whenever you'd like. All right. Everyone else, straight leg travels down and back up. You could flex the foot on the way down, point the toes on the way up if you'd like. But again, it's a quick, kind of a quick travel here. Down and lift. 4 more. Down and lift. Last 3. And lift. Last 2. lift, and last one. We'll lift the leg up. Again, you're going to drop the hips to a hover and press them up, down, and lift. Good, just 6 more, and up, 5, press up, 4, great job, y'all, 3, and press, 2, press, last one, press up, sole of the left foot reconnects with the mat, and you'll lower down from your bridge pose. Once again, finding anything that feels good here for you. All right, y'all, we rock and roll up to, let's rock and roll up to seated. And we'll come right on over to an all fours position. So come to your hands and knees, lining your hands up underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath the hips. All right, before we begin to move, we are going to try and engage the lowest level of our abdominal muscle structure. That's that transverse abdominal. So for this, we're going to actually round up into a cat pose. And when you round up, think here about snugging the belly button in. Think about pulling hip bone in toward chin and pause right here. So engaging, again, to that lowest level of your abdominal muscle group. Let's come back to a flat back. And now, without moving into that cat round, I'd like you to think about pulling. And actually, for me, sometimes it helps to think about blowing out 100 candles, like really blowing out, and see if you can try to feel that abdominal engagement. We're going to keep that hugging in as we send our left leg out, drop the toes to the mat, send your right arm forward, drop your pinky to the mat. All right, so we have a full lift to parallel, and then we lower. So we just have to go to parallel and down. So not any further. Keep that structure of your spine nice and steady. We lift and we lower. Good, 4 more here. And down. Good. 3, 2. So all the way up and all the way down. Here's our last one. We lift, we hold. That right hand returns to the mat. Point your toes behind you and draw teeny tiny circles with that left foot. I don't know what happens back there. I don't know if it's a circle or what's going on back there. Sometimes that left leg, my left leg doesn't listen. All right, let's switch directions. So small, small, small. Keep hugging that abdominal muscle in, or those abdominals in. All right. Now the knee comes into a hover. So we bring the knee back in underneath the hip. Now you'll let that knee travel out to the side. You'll send your leg straight, bend the knee, and bring the knee back in. And Taylor, you could just stay here if you'd like with that leg extended. We go out to the side, extend the leg, bend the knee comes back to a hover. 2 more like that. We bring the knee out to the side, extend the leg out to the side, bring it back in and back to a hover. Nice job, y'all. 1 more. Straight out to the side, straighten the leg, bend the knee, and come back to knees, hands and knees. All right, let's come off the hands for just a few seconds here. Maybe a child's pose. Maybe you roll through the wrists as we pause here for a second. So that same series on the other side, we'll start off with that spinal balance and then work from there. So join me again in that tabletop position. Again, it's super important to find just a little bit of abdominal engagement. So you're hugging in, hugging in. All right, your left toes travel back. Your right, nope, did I do that? Is that right? Or is it left, right? Right foot back, yes, and left pinky forward. All right, here we go. So you guys traveling just to parallel and then come down and tap the mat again. So we go up to parallel with the arm and the leg, tap, up and tap. So here's the deal. As you move, and we just have 4 more, we are moving from the hip joint and we're moving from the shoulder joint. Everything else stays still. Last 2 here, we lift and we lower. And last one, and down. Now lift and hold that left with the right leg. The left hand returns to the mat. Point your toes, and let's make those teeny tiny circles behind. All right, so watch your neck here. Make sure your head is not dropping down, nor are you looking really far out in front. So try to keep your neck long. Let's switch directions. Again, really small circles. Beautiful job, y'all. 4, 3, 2, bring that right knee in underneath the hip. You'll bring the right knee out to the side. Think fire hydrant. Send that right leg long. Bend the knee, and then the knee comes back to a hover. Just 3 more like that. So out to the side, straighten the leg, oofta, bend the knee. I know that's hard, and back into center. Just 2 more. We go out to the side, straighten the leg, bend the knee, and back into center. And last one, out, straighten, bend, and knee comes in. Great job, y'all. From here, curl your toes under and walk your hands back to your feet. All right, let's hang out for just a couple of breaths, stretching through the back of the legs, relaxing through the hands, the arms. Good, so just pause here for a second. So we are going to do a Pilates flow from here. So before you begin to rise up, 1 vertebra at a time, engage. Again, it's like you're blowing out that balloon or blowing out those 100 candles. Really feel that engagement to support your back. And then slowly, 1 vertebra at a time, we're going to rise up. If you need extra support, place your hands to your thighs. You come all the way up. Head is the last thing that comes up. From here, let's do that big stretch up to the ceiling. We're doing a big C-shaped dive to the mat. So again, really important to feel that abdominal support as you dive yourself forward. You'll walk yourself out to plank or a modified plank pose or 6 tricep push-ups. If you're doing those tricep push-ups on your knees, on your toes, but the elbows are pointed back and the sides of your arms or inside of the arms brush the rib cage. So again, plank, modified plank, or these 6 tricep push-ups, and then we'll meet in what's called a pike position in yoga, but it looks very similar to a down dog. Excellent job, y'all. I love it. Good. Once you find yourself in that plank or in that pike position, from there, walk your hands back. We're in that standing forward bend. We engage the abdominals. We'll roll up slow. Once you are all the way up, stretch up to the ceiling and do your big C-shaped dive to the mat. Yes, y'all, great job. We walk ourselves out to our plank pose. Once again, you have options. In fact, the same options from the last round. So plank, modified plank, or 6 more tricep push-ups. And then once you have wrapped up whatever you are doing, we'll meet back up in either down dog or child's pose. And before we move on to our next little thing together, let me give my mama to be some options. So the rest of us are going to be on our stomach. So you can choose to go back to a bird dog to strengthen the back body, or you could just be in that tabletop position and find a rounding working the front side. So you decide, okay? All right, everyone let's meet on our stomachs. All right, so we have 2 things we'll do here. First, before we get started, I want you to think here about creating a little mouse house underneath the belly button. So try and engage the abdominals. I know they're laying against the mat. It's really easy to let things go, but try to find that engagement here. And then we're going to bring our arms out. So we'll find a superhuman first. We're lifting arms and legs up off the mat. And then you'll rotate your palms to face the floor. Pull, like you're pulling something back towards you, and then just let your arms travel gently back, and we lower down. Good. Again, we lift everything up. We pull something back, and then let your arms easy travel back and lower down. We have 4 more like that. We lift, pull back. Beautiful. Arms travel back, and we lower down. 3 more. Lift, pull, forward and down. Last 2. We lift, pull back, release, and lower down. Last one here. We lift, pull back, forward and down. Make a pillow for your head. Windshield wiper your legs. We have one more thing we'll do here, but let's take a little break. All right, y'all, let's extend the arms and legs long. Again, this time we'll practice or we'll do swimming. So arms and legs come up off the mat, and then you have teeny tiny little flutters of arms and legs for swimming. Good. Watch your neck again. So you're looking just slightly, maybe slightly out in front of you. Not big movement of the neck to look out too far. All right, for time, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. Let's push up and back, extended child's pose. Nice work. All right. We are going to come to one side of the body. Doesn't matter. In fact, actually, so you're all facing the same way. Let's actually turn and face that side of the room. Good. All right, work the same elbow. So your right elbow is underneath your right shoulder. Your legs are stretched out here, and we're pushing up through that side rib. So think here about not sinking in, but instead lifting up. All right, your top leg, you're gonna lift it up. And then it's just teeny tiny circles like we did before. So again, this is really about hip stabilization, hip strength, but we've got this side body working to hold the shape. Good, let's switch directions. 8. Good, here's 4, 3, 2, and last one. Now we find a side plank, but if you will grab a block, doesn't matter. Actually, it doesn't matter what hand. I'm usually facing, and so I just have them do whatever side. We're all on the left side. Grab that block with your left hand. You're going to push the hips up to either a side plank modified or side plank not modified. And that block is going to go up into the air. Yep, beautiful. All right, now you're going to thread the block underneath the other arm and back up to the ceiling. Oh, I know these are gross. Keep going. We're going to go underneath and up. Good. Do a few more rotations here. In fact, 4 more. Hang in with me. Here's 3, 2. Last one. Send that block up into the air. Hold 4, 3, 2, and last one. Excellent job. That was yucky, but we did it. Let's switch to the other side. All right, so again, it is about really engaging all the way through here. The legs are straight out, the hips are stacked. So just make sure that one hip is on top of the other. That top leg comes up slightly, and then you make those teeny tiny circles. So nothing else in the body moves. Good. You guys look very thoughtful about this. Let's switch directions. Good. Try to keep that stability, nothing else moving. Good. Here's 4, 3, 2, and last one. Let's get ready for side plank on this side. Again, you can stack your knees. You could send both legs long. You could bring that, just keep that bottom knee down if you'd like. That top arm has the block, the top hand. We're going to twist. So we go under that opposite arm and then back up to the ceiling. Again, twist. And up. 4 more. Twist. And up. Beautiful job, y'all. 3. And lift. So strong. Last 2. And lift. Here's our last one. We lift and hold. 4, 3, 2, and last one. Nice work. All right, sit down onto that side, then come on up to face me. And you can just find a cross-legged position, send your legs out, but let's just do a little bit for those arms. So if you will stretch over to one side, again, doesn't matter what's going on with your legs, trying to find a little relief through the arms. So if you want to do some circles on this top arm, feel free to do that. And then we'll go up and over to the other side. So just a few seconds on each side. We have a little bit more that we're going to do for the front side of the body, and then we have our meditation. All right, again, we can do this one together. So the soles of the feet, you have your block again. Soles of the feet are to your mat. You're sitting up nice and tall to start. That block is out in front of you. We're going to make that C shape with the spine and let the lower vertebrae connect in with the mat. And then we'll bring ourselves back up. So I want you to think about that hug in that we've been practicing. So that lowest level of your abdominal muscle, actually everything is working here, but see if you can really hug in as you. Taylor has an advantage. She's actually hugging in on a baby. And come back up. Good. All right, here's our last one. We're going to actually hold right here. And now you're going to bring both arms out to the side. One of the hands has a block. Now you're going to switch to the other side. So you're holding your shape. Your arms are going out to the side, alternating block. Good. We have 4 more. 4, 3, 2. Last one. Bring that block back to center. We go up and down. Lift and lower. Good. Breathe. Shh. Here's 3 more. 2. And last one. Great job. Come all the way up, maybe cross-legged position for a second, and just walk your hands out in front, stretch through the back. Once you're here, you're welcome to walk your hands to one side and then to the other, just to get a little for the hips as well. Good. We did a little bit of strengthening through the legs. So we're going to give our legs just a little bit of a stretch. So the soles of the feet are to your mat. You're going to cross your right ankle above that left knee. Now, that left foot can be out a little further away from the body. It could be closer in. That will be a little bit more of a stretch. You could walk your hands a little further away for less of a stretch, or walk them closer in. Good. So we'll pause right here. Now do just a little shifting of your body from side to side, and notice if you can find anything that feels particularly interesting that you want to hold and explore. Good. Now you'll straighten out through that left leg. That right foot is to the outside of the left knee. Let's find a twist. Sit up nice and tall here. Gentle twist if you are pregnant. We're going to twist toward the bent knee. Beautiful job, y'all. We come back to center and we'll do the same thing other side. Your left ankle above that right knee, and then sliding that right foot in. Again, you choose how far in. And if it feels good just to do a little bit of rocking, you might find, for some reason, when I go off to the side a little bit is where I find more of a stretch here. Good, and then come back to center. You'll stretch that right leg long, the sole of the left foot to the outside part of that right leg. Sitting up tall, you're twisting towards your bent knee, looking over your left shoulder. Perfect. And then come back to center, stretch both legs out, shake out whatever you might need to shake out. All right, we have hit our meditation time. So you have options to stay right where you are and use a bolster to set yourself up for final relaxation. Using the blocks that you have to build that structure for your bolster. If you didn't grab 2 blocks, feel free to grab 2 blocks. So this is just one option where you lay back and you have this opportunity to open up through the front body. If you'd like to stretch and open up through the hamstrings and do a little more restorative pose, your legs could go up the wall if you'd like. So take time here, take all the time you need to set yourself up in the best way that feels, the way that feels best for you for this next bit of time.